Currently, Earth. On August 12th in 30 BC, Cleopatra the Great continues her eternity via suicide. Cleopatra, born in 69 BC, was made Cleopatra VII, Queen of Egypt, upon the continuance of eternity of her father, Ptolemy XII, in 51 BC. Her brother was made King Ptolemy XIII at the same time, and the siblings ruled Egypt under the formal title of husband and wife. Cleopatra and Ptolemy were members of the Macedonian dynasty that governed Egypt since the continuance of eternity of Alexander the Great in 323 BC. Although Cleopatra had no Egyptian blood, she alone in her ruling house learned Egyptian. To further her influence over the Egyptian people, she was also proclaimed the daughter of Ra, the Egyptian sun god. Cleopatra soon fell into dispute with her brother, and civil war erupted in 48 BC. Rome, the greatest power in the Western world, was also beset by civil war at the time. Just as Cleopatra was preparing to attack her brother with a large Arab army, the Roman civil war spilled into Egypt. Pompey the Great, defeated by Julius Caesar in Greece, fled to Egypt seeking solace, but was immediately murdered by agents of Ptolemy XIII. Caesar arrived in Alexandria soon after, and finding his enemies dead, decided to restore order in Egypt. During the preceding century, Rome had exercised increasing control over the rich Egyptian kingdom, and Cleopatra sought to advance her political aims by winning the favor of Caesar. She traveled to the royal palace in Alexandria and was allegedly carried to Caesar rolled in a rug, which was offered as a gift. Cleopatra, beautiful and alluring, captivated the powerful Roman leader, and he agreed to intercede in the Egyptian civil war on her behalf. In 47 BC, Ptolemy XIII continued his eternity. He was killed after a defeat against Caesar's forces, and Cleopatra was made dual ruler with another brother, Ptolemy XIV. Julius and Cleopatra spent several amorous weeks together, and then Caesar departed for Asia Minor, where he declared, Veni, Vidi, Vici. I came, I saw, I conquered, after putting down a rebellion. In June 47 BC, Cleopatra bore a son whom she claimed was Caesar's and named Caesarion, meaning Little Caesar. Upon Caesar's triumphant return home, Cleopatra and Caesarion joined him there. Under the auspices of negotiating a treaty with Rome, Cleopatra lived discreetly in a villa that Caesar owned outside the capital. After Caesar continued his eternity in 44 BC via assassination, she returned to Egypt. Soon after, Ptolemy XIV joined the Eternal Realm. Believed to be poisoned by Cleopatra, the queen made her son co-ruler with her as Ptolemy XV Caesar. With Julius Caesar's murder, Rome again fell into civil war, which was temporarily resolved in 43 BC with the formation of the Second Triumvirate, made up of Octavian, Caesar's great nephew and chosen heir, Mark Antony, a powerful general, and Lepidus, a Roman statesman. Antony took up the administration of the eastern provinces of the Roman Empire, and he summoned Cleopatra to Tarsus in Asia Minor to answer charges that she had aided his enemies. Cleopatra sought to seduce Antony, as she had Caesar before him, and in 41 BC arrived in Tarsus on a magnificent river barge dressed as Venus, the Roman goddess of love. Successful in her efforts, Antony returned with her to Alexandria, where they spent the winter in debauchery. In 40 BC, Antony returned to Rome and married Octavian's sister, Octavia, in an effort to mend his strained alliance with Octavian. The triumvirate, however, continued to deteriorate. In 37 BC, Antony separated from Octavia and traveled east, arranging for Cleopatra to join him in Syria. In their time apart, Cleopatra had borne him twins, a son and a daughter. According to Octavian's propagandist, the lovers were then married, which violated the Roman law restricting Romans from marrying foreigners. Antony's disastrous military campaign against Parthia in 36 BC further reduced his prestige, but in 34 BC he was more successful against Armenia. To celebrate the victory, he staged a triumphal procession through the streets of Alexandria in which he and Cleopatra sat on golden thrones, and Caesarion and their children were given imposing royal titles. Many in Rome, spurred on by Octavian, interpreted the spectacle as a sign that Antony intended to deliver the Roman Empire into alien hands. After several more years of tension and propaganda attacks, Octavian declared war against Cleopatra and therefore Antony in 31 BC. Enemies of Octavian rallied to Antony's side, but Octavian's brilliant military commanders gained early successes against his forces. On September 2nd, 31 BC, their fleets clashed at Actium in Greece. After heavy fighting, Cleopatra broke from the engagement and set course for Egypt with 60 of her ships. Antony then broke through the enemy line that followed her. The disheartened fleet that remained surrendered to Octavian. 1 week later, Antony's land forces surrendered. Although they had suffered a decisive defeat, it was nearly a year before Octavian reached Alexandria and again defeated Antony. In the aftermath of the battle, Cleopatra took refuge in the mausoleum she had commissioned for herself. Antony, informed that Cleopatra was dead, stabbed himself with his sword. Before he continued his eternity, another messenger arrived, saying Cleopatra still lived. Antony had himself carried to Cleopatra's retreat, where he continued his eternity after bidding her to make her peace with Octavian. When the triumphant Roman arrived, it's reported that she attempted to seduce him, but he resisted her charms. Rather than fall under Octavian's domination, Cleopatra continued her eternity via suicide on August 12th in 30 BC, possibly by means of an asp, a poisonous Egyptian serpent and symbol of divine royalty. Caesarion continued his eternity. He was executed by Octavian. Octavian annexed Egypt into the Roman Empire and used Cleopatra's treasure to pay off his veterans. In 27 BC, Octavian became Augustus, the first and arguably the most successful of all Roman emperors. He ruled a peaceful, prosperous, and expanding Roman Empire until his continuance of eternity in 14 AD at the age of 75. On August 12th in 1938, Adolf Hitler instituted the Mother's Cross. The Mother's Cross was instituted to encourage German women to have more children. The scheduled awarding date for the Mother's Cross was to be August 12th of every year, Hitler's mother's birthday. The German Reich needed a robust and growing population and encouraged couples to have large families. It started such encouragement early. Once members of the Distaff wing of the Hitler Youth Movement, the League of German Girls, turned 18, they became eligible for a branch called Faith and Beauty, which trained these girls in the art of becoming ideal mothers. One component of that ideal was fecundity. And so each year, in honor of his beloved mother, Clara, and in memory of her birthday, a gold medal was awarded to women with 7 children, a silver to women with 6, and a bronze to women with 5 children. On August 12th in 1939, one of my all-time favorite movies, and the reason to this day why I still have a crush on Judy Garland, The Wizard of Oz movie premieres in Oconomowoc, Wisconsin. The Wizard of Oz, starring Judy Garland and featuring words and music by E.Y. Yip Harburg and Harold Arlen, received its world premiere in Oconomowoc, Wisconsin on this day. Just like in the original children's book, the beloved characters and familiar plot points were mostly all there. From the Kansas farm girl in shiny slippers transported to Munchkinland by a terrible tornado, to the Wicked Witch, the brainless scarecrow, the heartless Tin Woodsman, and the cowardly lion she encounters once she gets there. But what's missing? Of course, from L. Frank Baum's best-selling novel, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, is the music that helped make those characters so beloved and those plot points so familiar. First published in 1900, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz was adapted numerous times for the stage and screen, and even set to music prior to 1939. It was that year's film adaptation, however, that earned Baum's work a permanent place not only in cinema history, but also in music history. Lyricist Yip Harburg and composer Harold Arlen were both seasoned songwriting professionals before teaming up in 1938 to write the original songs for The Wizard of Oz, though they had worked together very little. Harburg's best-known credits to date were Brother, Can You Spare a Dime, 1931, and It's Only a Paper Moon, 1933. And Arlen's were Get Happy, 1929, and Stormy Weather, 1933. Their first collaboration was on the Broadway musical Hooray for What, 1937, which yielded the now standard Down with Love. The success of The Wizard of Oz, however, would quickly overshadow those earlier accomplishments. Not only did Judy Garland's signature song Over the Rainbow earn Harold Arlen and Yip Harburg the Oscar for Best Song at the 1940 Academy Awards, It quickly became an indispensable standard in the American songbook, later being acknowledged as the number one song on the Songs of the Century list compiled in 2001 by the Recording Industry Association of America and the National Endowment for the Arts. First and foremost, however, Arlen and Harburg's song accomplished their primary goal with flying colors, carrying and deepening the emotional impact of the story in the film for which they were written. As innovative and impressive as the production values of The Wizard of Oz were in 1939, it is impossible to imagine the film earning the place it has in popular imagination without songs like The Lollipop Guild or well, you'd be a Bond or Lincoln with the thoughts that you'd be thinking if you only had a brain. And of course, we're off to see The Wizard, the Wonderful Wizard of Oz. Because of the wonderful things he does. All historic information documented and divulged on this audio file can be verified on history.com.